It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and welcome back to our friend. Ms. Astrology is back. Welcome,
Hi.
welcome.
Happy New Year, everyone. It's the official New Year now.
That's
Aries.
right, because Jesus was a Pisces.
Exactly. I was just having that conversation again today. Fun fact, Easter is always the first Sunday after the first full moon of spring. So y'all can't tell me astrology
Wow.
ain't all in the Bible.
Okay, so let me ask you this because we talked about the other night about the astronomy of it all and the 5 planets that were lined up that we could see outside
Yep.
After sunset. Does that affect anything in terms of our signs and signage?
Well, yes, and depending on your sign, you'll feel more of an impact. But it was all in Aries, and they were all around Jupiter, which is a planet of like abundance and hope and optimism. So we just were feeling a lot of optimism, a lot of hope. Or we were feeling really feisty because it's Aries and really like aggressive and assertive. So it just kind of depends what other fire planets or cardinal energy you have is how it affected you. It made me feel really
Wow.
hopeful. I love Aries season.
Really?
Mhm.
I'm just like,
Oh, today was not fun for me, but the moon started off in the sign of Cancer today, and Cancer and
uh-huh.
Aries don't really get along. So the sun and the moon are in a place where, for fire signs, I literally put in my Facebook story today, I'm in a mood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As the kids say.
Yes.
How
Yes.
have you been? How are things with you?
I'm good. Things are getting better. I've got a lot of changes. Y'all see this great backdrop here, so I'm just super excited about the things that are going on. And I think for a lot of us that this year, even if it feels a little frustrating right now, this has the opportunity to be very healing for us. And I say this year, and I'm going to keep saying this year, you guys, because spring is the real new year.
Beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, like how we talk about Jesus being a Pisces, he died a Pisces and rose as an Aries. Aries keyword is I am. And what does the Bible say? He says, I
I
am that
am
I
the
am.
great. Yep. Yep.
Yes,
The great I
exactly.
am.
The great I am. So here we are.
Wow. So there
Yeah.
is so much going on. And even as we are preparing to come on the air, just kind of had to throw some things out and start all over again with, and, kind of parse through the latest news. And so we will get to that. And of course, we know how you feel about, I mean, not you feel, but your outlook on the person who is taking up all of the air in the headline space today. So we'll see what happens with that as we go along. But
Mhm.
some other court cases have been decided today as well. So I don't know if people have been watching these other court cases, but that's pretty much where I spend my time watching all of this and hopefully coming up with some stories and some answers as to
Right.
what's going on. So we are missing our friend Aprilette Russell. She is out today, and we wish her Godspeed, and we will look forward to her returning to us next week. But we are so glad Ms. Astrology is here,
Thank you. I'm glad to be
and we missed you. We really have. And as I told you, it was just some scheduling stuff going on.
here.
Nothing, no, people were asking. I
Yes.
know, when
And
you
it
coming back
definitely
on, and I was too, because I do love our conversations. And I love your
Thank
energy
you. Thank
and all of
you.
that. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's move to the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our daily Monday through Friday newsletter. This is where we have stories that we bring together that super serve the African American interest in the community as well. And something we learned a little while ago in our last radio life. But today's story, we ask people not to forget about our neighbors to the south, our relatives in a lot of effects,
Relatives.
because of last week's tornadoes that just ripped through towns, and the towns of Silver City and Rolling Fork, Mississippi,
Um,
as well as in Alabama. They went through Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia on Sunday, near Augusta, I believe, Sunday morning. So we're asking people, don't forget these, because everything has
right.
happened. This happened over the weekend. And then come Monday was the shooting in Nashville. And then so that kind of steamrolled,
Mhm.
and a lot of attention focused on that, as it should.
Right.
But we don't want people to forget that people's lives were completely destroyed.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
their homes, if they had work, all of these buildings, some thousands of structures just totally destroyed. And people are just kind of going through the wreckage, trying to find some semblance of their existence, of
Right.
important papers, of things, pictures and photographs and baby books and things like that. And these were predominantly Black communities. And
Right.
so it really does behoove us to remember these people. And what we did, Ms. Astrology, is try to give people some ideas of how we might contribute to
Mm-hmm.
help them get back on the feet. Because although the federal government has promised, we know that the wheels move very slowly in that.
Right.
The state government has promised, and I don't have honestly, I don't see a lot of action there. The
Mhm.
governor, Tate Reeves, has not been the friendliest when it comes to empowering Black people. If you see what he's done with Jackson, Mississippi.
Right.
And so there are a lot of private organizations, including United Way. People feel some kind of way about the larger organizations, but we do give you the list where they have locations and a list of locations that are receiving donations if you are in that area
Mhm.
as well. This is really great, Ms. Astrology. This is an organization called Mercy Chefs. It's a Christian nonprofit that provides meals to victims, volunteers, and first responders in disaster and humanitarian relief emergencies. And so they are serving meals and water from 11:30 to 5 at a local school, the Sharkey Issaquena Academy, next to uh, they have a location I'm not familiar with, but we also give you the information where you can donate and text chefs and to call their number to donate by PayPal or credit card. So please, please, please don't forget, and don't and I know everybody wants to help, but don't send the stuff you were going to toss.
Right.
It was like, oh, somebody can use this. Well, if you
Right.
were going to throw it away, and like, well, they should be
Right.
grateful.
Uh,
That's not to say they aren't grateful, but it
but
would
come
be
on now,
nice
have some
not to have
compassion.
your holy stuff unless it's your jeans.
Right. That's the
Because
only way you can get them these days, it seems like.
they like that.
Yeah. I
But
think it's really important that you keep saying to remember, remember to help. Remember, don't let one thing take over the news, because with this being Aries season,
mhm.
it does tend to be a time where we worry about ourselves the most. And not to say that for the most part people don't always, but sometimes we're way more giving, we're way more for others, specifically like during Sagittarius or Pisces
Like
season.
Christmas season and
Yes,
things,
right around
yeah.
that time, Thanksgiving and stuff like that. But when it comes to the spring and Aries season, we're typically worried about us. This is very I am planting our own
Mhm.
garden, like tending to our own things. So it is very important right now to remember. It is also very important because we had all that Pluto and Capricorn energy, and that has moved on. Capricorn is the old structures, the big organizations. Those are getting shooken up. And so it does make me want to say, like, be mindful. It is actually going to be better for us to put our money into and our efforts into smaller organizations and
Mhm.
organizations that have the information, because now it's Aquarius, which is a very want the information kind of sign about how they're helping humanity, which is the other part of Aquarius. So if you can't see where your money's going, if you can't see the fruits of your labor when it comes to how you do choose to give, that's probably not the right organization to give to under
Mhm.
this kind of energy. And we do have to be very mindful to remember, because we can very easily get self-consumed under this energy as well.
Right. Yeah.
And
And
it's got to
and
be an
and and,
intention.
and then the distraction comes in,
Right.
and the people that we are really doing this for, and not for any self gratification, but for people who really need our help. They just kind of get tossed by the wayside, and that's not
Yeah.
the
And
intent
that's not
here.
right.
So.
And if we're really intentional about giving something that we would want to receive, giving to organizations that are showing where the money is going and where the funding is going, with this, in a way, this is going to sound a little crazy, but in a way this is going to be very healing for us as individuals, because
Mm,
this still is healing energy. And a lot of times the best way to heal something within yourself is to do something for someone else, like
right.
genuinely, not, oh, here, you can have it, I wasn't going to use it anyways. No, let me go take some of my savings and my budget, do a little something, and you're gonna feel so much better, you guys. I promise.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And buy the water and the paper goods and things that people might
Yes.
need. And especially as households are expanding, because a lot of folks who were not affected by the storm, the way other family members who lost everything, their mobile homes and things like that, they're
Right.
families of 12 and 13 and 15 people
Wow.
living there. And so
Right.
everything is really kind of thrown out. And people who are expecting to get money through the mail, all the mail system is
Right.
disrupted and everything. So please be very mindful that
Mhm.
everything that we take for granted every day, turning on the lights, drinking water from the tap,
Right.
all of these things, getting our mail delivered, all of these things are disrupted. And
Right.
so please take heed.
And not
And
that y'all might take this the wrong way, and I don't mean to, but let's not send hopes and prayers, okay? Because Saturn is in Pisces, so faith without works is dead. So we gotta work. Saturn is a sign that makes you work, and Pisces is a sign of faith. So we believe that if we put some effort to it, we can bring some healing energy to others as well as ourselves.
when the other day after the Monday mass murder and all of the people who are in favor of guns says, well, will we send you our prayers, or we need to gun up and, send more guns to the schools. And like, I wish that I had the faith without works is dead, because that is, I don't even know that they would get it.
Right.
But we don't want your prayers. We want action.
Action.
And
Mhm.
that is something that we've been talking about in the newsletter this week, especially.
Right.
Another thing is state control over individual, um, I guess, organizations or structures within the city. The battle for control over the St. Louis Police Department by the
Mm.
state. The Missouri House of Representatives passed a bill that would put the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department under state control. The same thing we talked about previously with Mississippi, and
Mhm.
wanting to put Jackson, Mississippi under state control. The water, where they've had the pipes and had all the difficulty with the water situation. Should this bill pass the Senate, only 5 people would have control over the police. It would be the mayor of St. Louis, who is a Black woman, Tashara Jones, and 4 other people who are appointed by the white Republican governor.
It's not okay.
No, no, not in the loo. No, you wouldn't
Right.
want this. And so, it's crazy. They have been under state control they were under state control for over 140 years. The Civil War, all the way to just 1 decade ago. It's been 10 years they had been
Wow.
under the city rule, but the former mayor, no longer serving mayor in St. Louis, got the St. Louis police back under city control, and spoke out. Also, is still speaking out against this and saying
So
it's
is this something that the people of St. Louis are able to vote on?
no.
No.
No, because now that this bill is under the state and is up for voting by the state representatives.
The representatives.
Yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
so once again, you got to wait for your turn to come around,
Right.
but work with the mayor and the former mayor in order to work out to affect some sort of change in
Right.
order to get it back under city control. Instances where police commissioners sexually harass officers in exchange for promotion, and all kinds of examples of this have been happening. And Republicans in the Missouri legislature also want to take control of the St. Louis police again to fight crime, they say, and critics say that's not the answer. That's
That's
not what they're
neither.
going to do. That's
Right.
not what they're hoping to do. So, whatever we can do to, just to keep a spotlight on this, St. Louis, we stand with you.
I
And
get this kind of sense that this has the potential to cause like a real uproar in the
yeah,
city and
yeah,
like a real riot, because we're just having this energy where the people want the power back. With Pluto
hmm
and Aquarius, like people are like, no, 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 no. We want this power back. We're done with y'all. We don't trust y'all. And so it's just like, and this is still Aries season. So depending on when this passes, this does have the potential to cause a real uproar and a
yeah,
riot and like a havoc in St. Louis. So I would just really be mindful of that and whatever everyone needs to do to stay safe, while at the same time doing the work for the people to get the power back and for
yeah.
it to, yeah. So
And I was thinking about that this morning because the original story I was working on for tomorrow has to do with the people of Nashville, Tennessee,
Mm,
that converged upon the state capitol today. And I mean, people of all ages, mothers, fathers, babies, grammar school, high school students, college students, all there by the hundreds, to get the attention of the state legislature to do something about gun control. I mean, it was so impressive, and telling people, do something, stop this. Let's get the guns out of the school. Don't give them to the teachers. Do something. Do your job. Well, they see their job as promoting more gun ownership because that's what the people who pay them
right. Right.
uh, want them to do. The
Right.
companies that
And our,
make the guns and the ammunition.
hmm
So this was so impressive, and people looking for some sort of unity, and I think they found it, and they
Right.
found their voices too,
Right.
to speak out against this. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays
I think
out
we're going to see
around
more
the
of
country.
that. We're going to see more of people like, no, we don't trust you. We're taking our power
Right,
back. We got something to say. So
right.
I think we're actually going to see a lot more of that, which that's the energy that we're in right now. That's what it's the time for.
And they're going to continue that because the students that formed an organization after the mass shooting in Florida at the Florida high school, they have encouraged all of their members as well as the new members in Tennessee to have a walkout at 10:13 on Monday, which
Wow.
will be exactly a week
Wow.
that the shootings took place. And so they are rising up, like we saw in Kansas with returning a woman's rights to her body
hmm
through that vote. And so we're going to see more of this in terms of gun control.
But
And I've been trying to get this congressman. He's from New York. His name is Jamal Bowman. And he took on a congressman yesterday in the halls of Congress.
oh, I saw
You
that.
saw that, right? Right.
Yes. Yes.
And the white congressman is one of those who had a Christmas photo of his family, all of them holding automatic weapons. And Bowman is like, and he just went in and just kept going. And your answer is to give this to the teachers. He goes, I was a teacher. No,
Wow.
that's not the
That's
answer.
not the
The
answer.
passion, the
Yeah.
passion this man exhibited. And it's so funny because at one point the white people were like, come on, Jamal. And this is the former high-ranking Democrat Steny Hoyer from
Mhm.
Maryland. He had him by the arm, and then finally he's like, I can't do anything with this brother. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
exit stage left,
that's exactly how you should behave. Let that man say what he's got to say. But I also do want to say, do not be weary in well doing.
Mhm.
Remember, like, we can't just get tired and go to one protest. Like, this is a time of change, and everything
Right,
that Pluto was doing in Capricorn to bring down these old structures and these big corporations, it's not done. But
right.
now Pluto, because it will go back into Capricorn to kind of finish up, but now it's trying to show us how much power we have as a collective, as a group of like-minded people whose really our best interests are that we keep in the front of mind are our neighbors, are the people around us.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of power. We just can't get weary. We can't get tired. We just got to keep up the good fight, as they say, right?
And we need to mind those that on whose shoulders we stand, because
Right,
they got weary, but they did not stop. We
right.
just had the celebration, the observation of the anniversary of the Selma March, right,
Mhm,
to Montgomery,
mhm.
and it took them several attempts to
Right,
make that, and the attempts did not stop there in order to get the right to vote.
right.
Um, and you think about this, I ain't no ways tired. We just can't. We
We
just
just
can't
can't.
stop.
Right.
And
We
then
just.
and there's a lot. There's a lot on the plate, to change
Mhm.
in terms of voting rights, to change in terms of gun rights, to change in terms of our women in our bodies. But we have to keep going.
We have to. Yeah. It's gonna happen, you guys. It's gonna happen. We are in that revolutionary period. Pluto only changes signs every 13 to 15 years. It's a generational planet. and it's been in Capricorn since 2008. So we've
Okay.
been seeing so many changes since then, and now we're about to get our power back, but we can't get tired when it's right there. I promise, it's
Right,
right there.
right. And 2008 was when Barack Obama was
Yep,
elected.
yep,
And look at the things that have come about since then. And
yeah.
and you said we're still in
Yeah, some of
play,
it's
still in
like going
process.
forward and then we go backwards and then we have, but we that's how it goes. Sometimes you got to go back just to review some things, just to like re-grasp some information, then you move
Yep.
forward again, but you don't stop. We can't.
Yep, absolutely. So that's just a little bit of what we have and what we talk about in our newsletter. I hope that you all, if you don't already subscribe, please do. It is free. And if you go to sybylwilkes.com, give us your name and your email address. We'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday. And then, as I said, we talk about it in the evening show as well. Let's talk about Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. This is the new year.
A time for new beginnings. It's Aries season.
It's Aries season. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And so this is very much that I am energy. This is when we go ahead and set intentions for our goals for the year. I actually prefer to I keep a big picture of for the year or for the long term, for the 10 years, whatever. But I like to set my goals in season. So it's spring now. What am I going to work on in the spring that I can go ahead and get started now?
Mm-hmm.
And with Jupiter here and Chiron here, for a lot of us individually, it's about healing. This may be healing your relationships, healing your body, healing your finances, healing your faith or your spirituality. It could be any number of those things depending on where Aries is in your chart. Remember, we all have all 12 signs. We all have, you may not have any planets there when you were born, but you still feel the impact. So there's some area in our life, in our chart, that we are really feeling the need to heal and to
Mm-hmm.
grow in and to be better in, if you will. And this is because Jupiter is involved. So it's activated. We get an eclipse during Aries season. And so this is really good energy to just kind of move in that direction of, I'm going to be better. I'm going to have hope and faith in my future. And if I put the work in now and, add some prayer, add all those things that are part of the zodiac, that are part of it all, then you can really see some progress and some forward motion and some fruits of your labor once we start moving throughout the year. So work on your healing, people, in whatever area it is. Some know intuitively, some need somebody to help
Mm-hmm.
you, guide you, but I feel like we all know,
Yeah,
you
you know what you need to do.
know what you need to do. And it
Yeah,
may be
whether
very private for you, but you know what you need to do.
yeah, intuitively, I think you're absolutely right. We do know.
Mhm.
You also say that Mercury will make its first retrograde of
We'll get so
2023.
so since 2023 started, we started the year with Mercury retrograde. And remember, this is not anything to get concerned about. This is a time to be aware. It just makes me think of getting your oil change every few months. And Mercury
Mm-hmm.
does rule like day-to-day travel.
Mm-hmm.
Just every 3 months or so, right? You go, you get your oil change, you get all your fluids checked, you get a little maintenance done. Mercury is a planet that every 88 days, it wants you to slow down and rethink about what you've been thinking about. Reconsider how you've been speaking, whether to yourself or to others, what you've been listening to, what you've been meditating on. This is a good time to just review. It's all about the RE: review, rethink, relax, read, reassign, reorganize, anything that's just like, let me redo this. So Mercury goes retrograde. That actually doesn't happen until the end of the month, right once we get into Taurus season.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, as you're moving forward in that, okay, what am I working on
You start
healing?
making plans towards that.
Start knowing. And I think we will automatically, as we go into Taurus season, start to make plans and want to slow down. But just know that as you get later in the month, start now, work on your healing, start to put some things in motion, and then be ready to reevaluate in a couple of weeks, in like 2 or 3 weeks, and rethink. And just know that if you start to feel like I'm slowing down or that's not working, it's okay. Let it go. Stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the planets are doing. They give us the time to readjust, which a lot of, I think as individuals, we're like, go, 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 go.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's not how this works. All the planets retrograde. So every once in a while, you got to be like, okay, let me slow down for a second.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
All
So
right, so we have a little bit of time here, Ms. Astrology, and want to talk about some of our favorite entertainers who are Aries, right?
yes.
And
Oh,
let's
she
start.
gave me a list today, y'all. I think Sybil likes Aries. I was like 20. I was like, we're not getting to all of
Well,
these.
once I got into it, I was like, oh, that's a good one, and that's a good, and a lot of them were dead. But
Mm.
then once I got into it, I was like, okay, that's good, that's good. Let's talk about the boss, Miss Ross, Diana
Miss
Ross.
Diana Ross. I love her. And I think that she has a Taurus moon. So I actually think that as we go into Taurus season at the end of the month, there might be some kind of shocking or surprising emotions that come from Miss Ross. There actually may be something that just kind of shakes up her stability. I
Hmm.
don't necessarily know if this is going to be something within her own body, her own self, but this energy tends to be a little bit of there's something shocking that's going to come, something surprising that I think that we're going to get from her. And what we're going to end up realizing is she's really working on her faith with this one. She's
Okay.
really, really working on her faith in what she believes in, trusting God or trusting her intuition or trusting spirit on this. So I look forward to seeing what it is. It could be
Could it be like a gospel album? Might she do something like that,
she
or
may do something like that, but I also actually feel like we're going to get some news maybe about her health.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So I
yeah,
think it's
well,
going to be something that maybe she's kept it for a secret for a while and we're all surprised about it. And now she's gotten it under control and she's
she's
figured out,
pregnant.
girl, bye. That'll shock the
I
entire
wouldn't put it
world.
past Miss Ross. I would not put it past her.
Tell me something.
Um, Here's a guy who is very controversial. A basketball star
Love
is
him.
now in Dallas, and it's not gone that well. It's not gone the way that the
Mhm.
ownership had expected. But Kyrie Irving is an
Mhm.
Aries.
Yes, he is. And Kyrie Irving just wrapped up his Saturn return. And I think that is why it was not so easy for him
Uh-huh.
because his Saturn is in Aries. I'm sorry, in Aquarius. And so he really, I don't know that this is going to get any better for him as much on the court, anyways. That doesn't really look like it's going to be the best for him. It looks like where things may actually get better for him is really just being about the people and whatever what he's already speaking on, what he's already so passionate about kind of teaching. He has Jupiter and Virgo, and for
Mm-hmm.
me, Virgo was one of the wise men, and then he also has Mars and Aquarius, or Mars and Saturn in Aquarius, which for me was another one of the wise men. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just think that he's got maybe some more teaching, leading, showing the way. I don't necessarily think that basketball is really gonna be what it used to be for him, if that makes sense.
Oh, sure it does. And I think that that what he went through with tweeting out the movie and
Mm-hmm.
things like that regarding Black Jews and what have you, that was a part of, I think, his platform, his
Mm-hmm.
teaching, if you will. People may not have been accepting of it, but certainly I think it was a part of what he sees as his next,
Right.
that's his purpose.
Yes.
I'm not sure it's to sit around and teach the youngins, how to play basketball,
No.
because a lot of them think they know already. So,
Right.
you know,
No, but
it,
he's
it,
going
it,
to find his tribe. He's going to find his people. They're actually looking for him. And this is
mm,
also about him having some like learning about mixing his faith and his intuition. I think intuitively, because he has that Venus in Pisces, intuitively he knows it's time to move on. Pisces is the ending. Pisces is the martyr too. Jesus.
mm,
I say this every
mm-hmm,
single show that Jesus was a
mm-hmm.
Pisces. So this is like he's given all of that up to teach us and to enlighten us and to open our minds. And I think that's going to be a better avenue, honestly, for him to take.
Wow, that's interesting. I was gonna talk about a couple of people. Brian Tyree Henry is a really good actor. People will, when you see him, you recognize him. And he was recently nominated for an Oscar for a movie that nobody saw.
Right.
So he's obviously doing okay. Let's talk about Eddie Murphy. He is an Aries, and
Yes.
what do you see for him? Because he's really been on the low for a very long time,
And I
and
don't,
now
and
he's starting to come back out.
I don't think he's going to come back out. Not really. He's on the low because he's got a Scorpio Scorpio moon. So he just kind of feels better about that. That's a very private moon. That's Beyonce's moon. It's very private and at the same time it's very passionate. That's Kyrie's moon as well. And so even though we are seeing so much of Kyrie, what do we really know about him, right? Like,
right.
Yeah. So it's kind of that. Maybe Eddie will come out and speak about some things as far as like because he's got Mercury in Pisces and Saturn is now there. We may find him talking about how he blew a bunch of money, wasn't real good with his investments, and now he's learned and he's wanting to teach some other people. He's healed from that kind of thing. That might be part of his healing of what he's done. But he's not, his chart is not really, as much as he's a Leo rising and he's a star, he's not really open, if that makes sense. He's a private star.
Yeah. And they would say that same thing about his best friend, Arsenio Hall. And he says Arsenio is more of a, keeps to himself more than even Eddie does. But Eddie says, you know, he's got 10 kids, so he's got to be out there. And
that's
his
Scorpio
kids,
moon, baby. It's in his fourth house too, which does rule children. And then he's got Neptune there. So he I think it caught him off guard. I think he looked up and he was like, how the hell I get 10 kids? So I think that's how that happened for him. Yeah. So,
you know who I really want to see good things happen for is Jill Scott. And I think that she is at a point where now, you know, her life is, I don't know, not settled, but she's seemingly in a good place, and it's not having to deal with marriages or romances and things like that. What do you see for Miss?
I like it. Looking at her chart
Scott
right now, I see why I love her too. I didn't know this. She has a Sagittarius moon. And I have a Sag moon also. I've seen her in concert and I just was mesmerized. I love her. Jilly from Philly. But this looks really good. This looks like her just really having a good time. She's probably been over the last couple years with the South Node in Sagittarius, just really trying to figure it out, trying to get it all together. But now she's ready to just come out and have fun. She had Mars in Gemini, and we had that whole retrograde there. So it feels like she was probably sorting some things out, getting some things together, changing some friendships, changing some social groups. But now that Mars has moved on, I do believe that probably when we get a little bit closer to Leo season, we will start to see and hear more from her. And it's going to be very fun and lighthearted and very enjoyable. And I think she's dealing with some healing as well, but this is more career-wise, maybe professional, that kind of thing. But I think I think we're going to see more from her, and it's going to be fun and lighthearted. And it's going to feel really good.
Good. I love hearing that. I absolutely love that. It's a sign that is impacted by, I hate that use of that word, that's affects a lot of males. We got a lot of male energy in here. The actor Sterling K. Brown, star of This Is Us, and you know, done some movies and what have you. What do you see for him? I haven't seen him in a minute.
And I do want to say that it is a masculine sign. Aries is a masculine sign. We all have masculine and feminine in us. The fire signs are masculine, which is just more outward. They're more expressive outward. And the water and earth signs are more feminine, which just means they really process things more internally. So now with him, he's got Mars in Gemini. And so he was probably just in the house because Mars was on his, I'm sorry, he's got the moon in Gemini, because he was just like, it's too much out here for me. Y'all are just getting in my head and just bothering me. And I feel like I'm all over the place emotionally. But he's going to go through his Mars return in Cancer. We don't have his birth time to know exactly what time this happened, what time or what house this is going to happen in his chart. But I think that we'll see him doing more. He's a dad, but more father figure type stuff, more children type stuff, more nurturing, maybe even purchasing a home or selling a home or moving in that kind of sense as far as home goes, and really coming full circle on, okay, this is really what I'm supposed to be doing. So this looks good. And then he's got Jupiter and Taurus. So I hope whatever he's doing to make money, that looks like it has the opportunity to really expand as we go into Taurus season, the rest of this. So I hope that whatever he's doing right now is it looking out for his best interest and really kind of put, this is like, I want to tell him it's okay for him to be selfish. It's okay.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Right. So not for all of us, but for this placement, it is. And that looks to be a really good financial benefit for him later that may allow him to invest more in children or real estate or moving or something like that. So good for him.
Okay, good.
Right?
All right. Well, we have moved into the latest news and things that are happening in trending. So we're going to start with those. If we have some time, there are a couple of more people I'm interested in. One is a friend of mine, Bill Bellamy, is a comedian, as well as Chance the Rapper. He's one of the judges on The Voice, and is kind of coming out and showing his personality a lot more these days on that show. So I'm really curious about him. Today is National Doctors Day. So say a hello and a thank you to doctors in your lives. I'll send shouts out to my childhood friend, Dr. Keith Ashby. I hope you're doing well. And he is a doctor, probably one of those kids that knew, when we were 10 years old, what he was going to do. And Dr. Sonia Marks in the ATL, just a wonderful woman who is dynamic and doing really good things, especially in OBGYN business. So sending out Happy Doctors Day to them. And
more Black doctors, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
More Black doctors, please.
Yes. Also, something that's near and dear to my heart. I love and respect the doctors, but today is the opening day of baseball. I'm so I love baseball, and I'm that one Black girl who
you're not the only one, girl. I'm in Houston. We got a slew of us. Yes.
So this is what's so great about your team. You guys are coming off of the World Series win. A lot of changes on your team. You lost some ace pitchers and things like that, and you still have an incredible manager, Dusty Baker.
Yes.
Excuse me. But I read an article that Dusty thinks this might be his last year.
I think he said he got what he came for. He wanted that World Series win, right? Yep. He's like, okay, I'm gonna do it one more time just to see, but if not, okay.
And Dusty's 70-something years old. He deserves to,
I was happy he got what he came for, because that was literally, he said that, I was reading the article, and that was literally all he came for, was to get that World Series win.
This is why I'm here.
And now
I got it. I'm good.
Bye.
Yeah.
Go back in the house. So I wouldn't be mad at him if he did. I'm so grateful that he came to the organization and that we're able to get that win with him. I know that Jose Altuve had thumb surgery, but it looks like he's doing good, and he'll be back practicing in June. So I'm excited about baseball season 2. I like baseball as well.
But so we should go to the Silver Boot Classic between the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros.
I'm there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. And it'll be a short game, because they've shortened the game, and they've seen evidence of that in the exhibition baseball, as well as today, the first game. Every team played today, and they are looking on the average of a little bit more than 2 hours per game. So that's nice. That's saying a lot. Yeah. So they changed some things. All right, cool. New changes there, as I said, and the pitcher's clock is short, and making things shorter there, as well as keeping teams kind of aligned on the field, not everybody going this way or that way and moving around the field a lot. So we'll see what happens. All right. So here is the news that has just kind of turned everybody's day upside down. Not that we weren't expecting it, but here it is. Donald Trump has been indicted in New York City by the Manhattan grand jury over the Stormy Daniels hush money case. The grand jury voted to indict him this afternoon.
That's what he got indicted for.
This is it for this case. The other cases, like for the documents that he took from the White House, or in Atlanta with his trying to change the election results in Georgia, that's still ongoing. But this is a case with the black male DA, Alvin Bragg, and had the grand jury. And so people are like, well, what's going to happen? What does this mean? Right. And is this really a big deal? What people are saying is just going to set the table for the next and the next to come on down. And he's really not going to like black people after this is all over. He's really not.
Listen, he would do better to just go on and check out. I mean,
yeah.
So, and I have my astrological opinion about that.
Right.
And I have said before that I don't think that, even though he's seeing indictments, I don't think he's going to actually see a conviction. I'm not saying that he's going to get away with it, but Donald Trump is old, and I'm saying that anything could happen to the point to where it's like, dang it, he was right there and then he died before we could get just anything. So we'll see how this plays out. But I know the indictment, that's a good step in the
That's a
right direction.
start. That's a start. Now we don't know all the charges that are, because they haven't opened the indictment, but they have voted to indict him, and
Okay.
he has not been convicted. So we don't know what will happen between now and when a trial could start, or
Right.
what kind of deals his attorneys are going to work out. And
Right.
it's going to be interesting to see how it all falls out. So the next thing is to see what happens in Florida with the documents, as well as in Georgia with Fonnie Willis, and regarding, trying to manipulate the election, the presidential election in Georgia.
It makes me think of the guy that at Enron
Mm-hmm.
and how he
Yep.
died. And
Yep.
then even I can't
Yep.
remember that. Like just Epstein, like they get in all this trouble and then they die. And
Yep.
so it's like it's not like it doesn't happen and he's not like he's at that age. So I'm interested in see as well because I put my Miss Astrology reputation on the line with that one.
Yeah, for real, and I believe it. I mean, the things that you have told us so far, really have. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of veracity to that.
Right.
And what has he got to live for if he's going to go to prison, or the possibility of his going to prison, and especially if he doesn't have any money?
Right. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. So this is all over the Stormy Daniels case and the $130,000 that he gave to Michael Cohen that they believe came from campaign money, because it was so close to the 2016 campaign, that the election that he did win. And
I
also,
believe it came from campaign money too. I mean, he is a Gemini, and I don't mean it like that, Geminis, but he just thinks he's better than you. Like he's like, oh, they'll never know. I can do this and do that. And he was born on a full moon, so he really just came to bring the drama.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the news tonight, they show his plane, like the pilots are warming up the plane, and will he be leaving Mar-a-Lago? Will he be turning himself in the morning? All of that stuff is coming out, so we'll see what happens. So that is the big news. Sad news for the military this morning. Came word that 9 Army soldiers were killed in an exercise that involved the Black Hawk helicopters.
Wow.
They were in the middle of training at night. It happened about 10 o'clock last night. 2 U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopters crashed during the training exercise in Kentucky, killing everyone on board. 4 on one helicopter, 5 on the other, and they were all based in Fort Campbell, the 101st Airborne Division. It's just tragic. It's just absolutely
that is tragic. Aries season rules. Aries rules military, professional athletes. And then Chiron is there, which is the wounded healer. Jupiter expands everything. I would absolutely tell the military, this is not the time for that. Like, this is just not the time. Everything is very forceful right now. And everything is real expansive, military wise, gun wise, even thinking about the school shootings. I mean, I would like to say that, oh, it's Aries season, but we know those happen far too often. But for the military right now, this is not the time for these kind of drills, because Jupiter is here to make everything just seem like, oh, it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. And it's a planet that can really put us in la la land. It also rules Pisces. So this is not the time for these kind of drills. And I would actually recommend that really the rest of Aries season, that anything like that, any kind of drills and things like that, just don't take place in the military.
Wow, that's fascinating. And I wonder if those hard-headed military people would take your advice on that.
I don't know. There was a time that nobody made decisions without an astrologer.
Right.
And so it's just like, no, any halfway decent astrologer, let alone someone that's been studying as long as me, would tell you, no, it's not the time. And then Mars is making this trine or this sextile, like, it's just not the time. So yeah, that's
so you were talking about guns and this at this period of time. This is a story that has come out now. I don't know if you remember this, but it was the horrific mass shooting at the country music concert outside
in
of the
Vegas.
hotel in Vegas, right?
Yes, I
So they
absolutely remember.
finally, the FBI has released documents saying that the the Las Vegas mass shooter was angry at the casinos. He lost a lot of money. He was angry at the way that he was treated. And they said he lost tens of thousands of dollars while gambling weeks earlier. Angry, and despite his high roller status, he said he was going to come back and show them. And unfortunately, 60 people were killed as he tried to show them. I don't understand, Ms. Astrology, when you use the lives of other people to show them, to show those that you're angriest at.
That's just a lack of
serves no
emotional
purpose.
intelligence. It serves no purpose. And I mean, but it also feels like, is there anything that the casinos can do when someone loses tens of thousands of dollars
and say, oh, you're good, go on.
Right. Okay. Oh no, you can't afford your room tonight, you've lost tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Shoot. So it does also make me think about, we're not to blame anyone besides the shooter, but we can't act like there's not a precaution, and that gambling is not an addiction, and that people don't put everything on the line. And then when they have nothing else to lose because they've wiped out their savings, they, nobody's there. You would think that if he had a wife, she wouldn't go let him spend all that money. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, okay, what can the casinos do? Because they kind of harvest or harbor this kind of ability. So I don't know. It's so unfortunate.
It is.
People just came to see country music.
They were just out to have a good time, and he ruined and killed 60 people. But just think about the domino effect of the number of lives that he ruined as a result of that.
Affected by one man being allowed to lose tens of thousands of dollars. And if he had that high roller status, that means that you guys are used to seeing him all the time.
Right. So when he checked back in and they saw all of this luggage that he had with all the high powered artillery that he had, nobody said,
knowing that he's
lost all of the thousands of dollars.
So there's hopefully there's something that can come to kind of put some precautions in place for incidents like that, because he's not the only one. Maybe he's the only one that took action in that way, but how many people go home and kick the dog? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And as much as I love dogs, I'd rather they do something stupid like that. Not against a pet, but obviously,
right. But not to a bunch of innocent bystanders.
People. I mean, just like the Nashville shooter, she was hurt because a girl that she apparently had a crush on died, and so she was acting out. And the crazy thing is that she took this out on children who were just like her. One of them could have been one who was in distress mentally, and one of them was the child of the minister who was still counseling her.
Wow.
It's just it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. Good news for Gwyneth Paltrow. The rich get richer. She was taken to court over a skiing accident that took place several years ago, back in 2019. And so this former optometrist ruled that she rammed into him. He said that she rammed into him. She said he rammed into her. And he was originally charging, that she created the accident, and he was going to sue her for $3.1 million. The judge said, nah, we're not going to do $3 million. You're okay. And so they brought it down to 10% of that and $300,000. She said, I am suing you for $1 and for my lawyer's fees, which I hope comes out to about $3 million. And she won, and they went before a jury, and she won today, saying that she did not cause the Utah ski accident. And the jury deliberated. That this has been going on for a couple of weeks, and the jury deliberated for a couple of hours. And they said that the doctor, Terry Sanderson, caused the accident on the ski slope. And he got really crazy. I mean, he was comparing her to Jeffrey Epstein. And I mean, it was just so bizarre. But anyway, in her countersuit, she asked for $1, and now he's got to pay her lawyer's fee. So good on her for that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I do want to talk about, this has been in the news all week. Jonathan Majors, the big actor who was in Creed 3 and, of course, in Ant-Man and one of my favorite movies this year, Devotion. He got into a fight with his white girlfriend, and she was making a lot of charges against him. And now the attorneys say that they have all of her texts, they have all of the information, which he apologized for doing this, knowing that, what could happen. And so they are moving their case forward to have all the charges dropped against him. And because he's right there and his career, and he's about to go like that.
I hope he learned his lesson. Like the lesson. Like, listen,
right.
I know before you were all fine and famous,
right?
Women, we weren't as nice, but we learned our lesson too. Come on back.
right.
Come on back. We promise that kind of thing. We may have a smart mouth sometimes, but ain't nobody lying on you like that.
We know what happens when you call the police.
And we know what happens when you call the police. I have never called the police on anyone. And so, I mean, unless I was in a car accident. But it's just that I hope that he learned his lesson. And then when I was looking at his chart, because I remember looking at his chart before, he's a Virgo. And he's got Mars in Virgo. Now, I have to, full disclosure, most serial killers are mutable signs, which is Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Gemini. And he does have a Sagittarius moon, but it has been my personal experience with Virgos and with Sagittarius moons that they don't want no trouble. Like I used to deal with a Virgo, and I swear to God, he was scared of me. And and I swear this man was scared of me. And so I don't think he wanted it. I think he really tried to come and maybe even like trying to rationalize with her, because that's one thing that Virgo really does try to do. But they don't really want any problems. They just don't really want any issues, especially with his Mars there as well. So luckily he's got that Sag moon, so the truth will come out. I do believe it just may take a little while. And he's going to learn, because he's got Jupiter and Cancer and Chiron and Cancer there too. He's going to learn about women. Yeah, and it's opposing his Saturn, women in business. So it also is an indication of someone that would do well to date on his professional level. So to date somebody else who's an actor or that has a whole bunch to lose. Why are you out here?
Right. So Halle Berry, I know you got a man, but he might be, someone.
Yeah.
I don't know. So continuing our conversation about entertainment, I came across this story because a lot of people are looking forward to Easter and entertaining in terms of the Easter eggs and the candy and all of that. It's become obviously more expensive, but it's not as bad as it was. Nice. The price of eggs, which had just skyrocketed beyond belief, like $8, $12 a dozen in some cases, is now a little bit more amenable. They said that the price of eggs is now about $2 and some change. But 72% of the people who usually participate in Easter say that the rising food costs will have a greater effect on their Easter plans. 51% of them plan in-person celebrations, as we are all getting back to that. And $2.6 billion worth of candy is sold annually in the U.S. alone. And so they are saying that they're going to probably get a little closer to $6.5 billion in Easter food, the ham, all of that, the mac and cheese and so all of the deviled eggs.
Y'all, why are we eating all that?
I don't know.
Yeah, didn't we just eat that like a couple?
Yeah.
I don't like that. Like maybe because it was just too much tradition. But I do think that this it's funny because I'm like, they like, forget them eggs. We done learn how to live without eggs.
Right.
Eggs no more. You can keep those. But I also think that with the things that are going on in Pisces, this is really about getting back to the resurrection.
Right.
The faith.
What is the meaning of
It has
Easter?
Nothing to do with eggs and bunnies.
Oh, chocolate bunnies. Right.
why are we eating Peeps right now? Like,
Right. Yeah.
this
Yeah.
has nothing to do with that. And hopefully we'll get back to the foundation of what Easter is. And
Or
we're
a lamb cake. I
a
don't like marshmallows. So,
yeah,
but
either.
it is the second biggest candy holiday.
Wow. After Halloween,
Yeah.
the holiday where you give candy away.
Right. And
Wow.
kids come and beg for it.
And beg
And
for candy. Now we're just buying a bunch of it for baskets. Like, I don't get it. I don't think Easter's been the same since Payless went out of business anyways.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. Let us move to our Yogi's Jewel, our daily inspiration, and that is: don't change yourself to make others happy unless that someone is you. Nice.
That makes
nice.
so much sense with
It
the
really
I am
does.
season.
It really does.
I am changing for I am. Okay.
Right.
Good.
And what it was that what was the Broadway musical I Am Changing? Was that Dreamgirls?
I don't know. You're the Broadway show.
Okay.
lady.
Well, but I think I want to say it's Dreamgirls. But anyway, I'm so glad you're back. Thank you so much for
So
joining.
nice. This was
It's
so
always
good.
a great time just
So
hashing
good.
over all this stuff with you and coming at it from
Yes.
your perspective and your knowledge of what's going on in the
Thank
stars. We
you.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Miss Astrology, how can people follow you?
Cosmicallylit.com is the website. I encourage everyone to get the newsletter because I do send it out on a regular basis with videos and insight for all the signs. I'm Miss Astrology on Instagram and YouTube as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Follow her, get the newsletter, all of that stuff, and we will see you again soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye.
Aloha.